Welcome everyone to a LANSA webinar. Today's webinar is a customer spotlight on British car auctions. Thank you for taking time in your busy schedule to join us today. My name is Jose Caso. I am the LANSA Product Marketing Manager. Please feel free to do questions in the Q&A option in the bottom of your screen. We will have a brief moment to answer the questions after the webinar has finished. Today, we are thrilled to have Stuart Smith joining us from our client, British Car Auctions, to share a bit about their LANSA solution. Stuart is the Business Systems Manager for British Car Auctions. I know you'll enjoy hearing about their success stories with LANSA. Okay, without further introduction, over to you, Stuart.
Thank you, Jose. All right, so let me just skip to the first slide. And I think we can skip quickly past that one. That's me. Okay, a little bit of background about the company that I work for. So BCA Automotive is the logistics arm of a bigger company called BCA. British Car Auctions' main business is remarketing. So that is taking second-hand and ex-rental fleet cars and moving them through their 23 huge auction sites throughout the UK. They purchased BCA Automotive about 4 years ago, I think. And no, it was like 2015, it says it right in front of me. And the reason they did that is because they were finding they were moving more bulk cars. So they used to move cars on a one driver per vehicle basis. But as they had bigger customers and customers were buying a number of cars, it made much more sense and cost effective to put those on the back of a transporter, which is what BCA Automotive primarily do. We have about 800 car transporters and 800 drivers delivering throughout the UK. So now BCA Automotive marketing is about half of our business. The other half is new car. So we service the UK's new car market, and that entails taking cars off docks, taken from boats from Spain, from Japan, from most new car manufacturers we work with at some point. We store cars on Portland, and then we organise the delivery of those cars to the UK dealership. I've just said that we own WeBuyAnyCar.com and Cinch. I mean, WeBuyAnyCar is a very famous UK site where you can actually go online and sell your car. And that's just an indication that what would happen is BCA Automotive would then get a notification that there's a car, and it can be in a supermarket car park to go and pick up. So our world has got a lot more complicated in the last few years, because we used to deliver from sites, we now pick up from everywhere. Skip. So a business challenge was we have an existing EPOD, so electronic proof of delivery app used by our driver base, and it wasn't really fit for purpose. So and it's fairly new, it's only about 4 or 5 years old, but we were challenged by the company to replace it. And really, the app itself allows the business to send the work to the drivers to view that work, resort the work, and then deliver the work, capturing a signature and recording damage and taking pictures. And we've also built in a messaging part of the app, so that actually the driver can message the back end and business can message the driver. And why LANSA? I mean, we've been developing in LANSA for a number of years now. So we purchased WAMs 12, 14, roughly 14 years ago. All of our core business applications are written in LANSA. We now develop mainly in V15, and that's hosted on the back of an IBM i. So all of our data is held on IBM i, and we still have IBM i developers, and we still leverage our IBM i and RPG code. So how do we do this? Okay, so the first step is we found an free online prototyping tool, which allows you to design apps. So really taking the specification, we just knocked up some screens, trying to figure out how many screens we're going to need, and the tool allowed you to prototype that and link them together so you could actually see how it would look on a phone. We then actually And again, one of the challenges is that this app needs to work offline, which is something that we've not, a challenge that we've not faced before. So the first thing we did was design a complete online database architecture for a phone or a device, a tablet. We then designed a back-end function that will send work to the phone or device and receive updates from it. Data is transferred, so the data is transferred from the back end periodically and when the phone requests it. And as and when changes are made on the phone, those changes are sent to the back end and update our core systems. I said there that we actually, the way we've done that is a series of interfaces. So the phone acts as a separate application and sends interfaces as a customer's application would back to our back end, which we pick up and process. And at the end of that, one of the key things, a legal requirement, is when a driver delivers a vehicle that we produce an actual POD, so a document that you can email or you can produce and print, and that will have the signature on it and any pictures they've captured. Yeah, so we have an app called BCA Track, which you can download from Android, Google Play Store, which is a white label version of the LANSA mobile app. It's hardwired to our URL. So we have a website that it goes straight into, so there is no setup. Anyone can download that. We provide a log on, so we have a number of apps, but for the drivers, because it's an internal app or used by internal, we provide them with a log on and security details. We are now actually in the process of piloting that, so we have 4 drivers out there using this app real time. Okay, so I think it's about time I skip the demonstration. Let me get up the phone. Let's see if it's connected. So I'm going to actually do the demo live. I'm going to do it on my phone. There's my phone, there's my son. Okay, and if I click on here, you can see that I'll do it with the mouse so that you can see where I'm pointing. So this is the BCA Track app that you can download from stores. If I click on that, it's going to run real time and it will try and connect. I mean, actually this is running, you can run it offline. Now, one of the things that you can't do if you're offline is sign on, but you can get the sign on screen. So you'll always get a sign on screen. Unfortunately, I can't show the offline mode because if I take it offline, you will not be able to see my phone because it's not connected to my laptop. But what I do is I sign on. I was going to try and copy my password, but because those of you that are astute can actually slow this down, but it wouldn't let me paste it in. So no, let me do it with the keyboard. It's a lot easier. I think the developer must have stopped you copying in here. So that proves that the security worked. Okay, so the way that what you're seeing there is we have a number of apps that we developed. And me as an IT employee, I get a choice of apps, but the driver will actually go into this app here. And he won't get to choose that. It goes straight in because he only has one app. And what I was actually going to do before I showed you that. So this is our core application. So this is the driver that I'm actually going to demo with the driver code 005. I go into his journey. So this is how we would plan that driver's day. This is for demonstration purposes. So he currently has 2 collections. The blue ones are him collecting vehicles and the green is him delivering a vehicle. So he's going to a place called Rimpton to pick up 2 cars, and then he's going to a place called Paynton to pick up 2 cars, and he's delivering all 4 cars back to Yeovil. So if I now get back to the app and I click onto his work, the phone will request that work. And also the first time you log on, if you remain logged in, it doesn't have this problem because the app remains loaded. So now that's now got that worked. If I compare that, Rimpton, Paynton, Yeovil, Rimpton, Paynton, Yeovil. Just to quickly show you the interaction between the back end. On this, you can drag this, and I'll just drag it Yeovil below Paynton. Will it recalculate times based on that change? So Paynton first now, Rimpton second. I confirm that and save that to the core. So that's now saved as that driver's journey. If I come up here and refresh the phone real time, so I'm offline, I'm actually online, but I'm using mobile network. You can now see that Paynton is first, Rimpton is second. So that's how quick it took to update the app. One of the things I'll show you just quickly while I'm on that, and I will show you that we managed to develop the ability to allow the drivers to move them. So I've now switched on this option here to disable and enable moving jobs. If I say, well, actually, I disagree with that, I'm going to go Yeovil first. I can drag Rimpton above Yeovil. The driver can say done. Would you like to save this? Yeah. That's now done. You can see that this working with server means it's sending it back. I go back to the back end and I go back into his journey. It's already recalculated to Rimpton into Paynton. So that's how quick, you know, the two systems are communicating with each other. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to show you is one of the first things a driver does when he starts his day is he has to fill in a DVR form, which is him confirming that his truck is roadworthy. He has a truck assigned already, AB13ABC. He actually has already filled in a valid DVR, but I'm just going to quickly run through a new one just to show you that. So you can click on new DVR, and then I'm actually just going to type in the reg here. What I will say quickly as I do this is that the way that we've actually achieved this is questions. So what we've actually developed in LANSA 14, so this is the LANSA 14 maintenance program that we developed, and this is what we call our questions engine. And what that allows us to do is really quickly design a question form. And the form itself does not exist before it's asked to be rendered. So when I show the DVR form, you'll see that the second question will be tachograph. Now it has two options, yes or no, and you can describe to the system how you want that button to look. So when it's pushed, we want it to look green, and you can change it based on, you know, your requirements. But this button itself and the look and feel doesn't exist until you run the form. So this, as you run the form, takes the description of the questions and it renders it real time, which the phone will do in a second, as you'll see. So this is now rendered from this description. These don't exist until it renders. And what that allows us to do is change the look and feel, add questions, take questions away, add a number of different options. So you can see that the questions can be linked so that actually you can only do one of them. You can select that you have to answer both, and you can scroll down. And if I go onto the phone and show you that, so if I, oh, bless you, you disconnected. Over 2 seconds. For some reason, my phone's disconnected. Let's, I can't get it. It's all great. And we're back. Okay, so let me just submit this reg number. And now this is actually taking those questions which are loaded, and it's going to render them real time as questions. There you go. So if I just run down this quickly, so the driver will go through, and we tried to make this as quick as possible because in the last app they had drop downs and it's quite difficult. Drivers tend to have quite big fingers. So we've made the buttons fairly easy. So you can just run down and pass them, scroll up, pass, pass. So this is something they have to do every day, and this actually will end up producing a form on the back end and say that's not applicable. I think to show you how quick they are, even there's a lot of questions. And I'm pretty sure they are checking, not just answering questions. If I take a picture, of the back of the truck. Okay, that. Pass, pass. That just proves that they have actually walked around the truck and they aren't just sat in the cab answering the questions. There we go. Yeah. Okay, and then they get to the bottom, they have to tell them how high the truck is, because when they load cars on the truck, the truck's height can vary, and this is for trees and bridges. And we've kind of developed this little widget that allows you to enter a height fairly easy. So I'll put 10 to, and then I'll say, yep, I'm at the first job of the day, and then the driver has to sign. So I'll sign, and then I'll submit that. And that's going to now hopefully send to the back end. So now I can continue with my work. Okay, back to this screen. And what I should see actually on the back end, fine. I don't know how many seconds it takes to update the details, but yeah, so we can see here, there's a DVR form filled in by that driver. Those are the questions, and there's a picture of me in drink bowl. And then actually, I believe, if I go back to the phone, one of the things we also do, and we do this when we deliver, I go back to the DVR quickly and just show you that we have a lat long. And that shows you where the driver filled in that DVR. Now that is my house in the middle of nowhere. So this shows you, and you can get that on an address. If we go to the first address the driver is supposed to be going to, is this one here, Rimpton. Oh, there you go. And the phone is, it's responsive design. So as you turn your phone, the app will resize itself as well. So you can use it on a tablet just as well as a phone. Reset yourself. It's reset it on the phone, but not on the. So if I click on this first address, one of the first things the driver can do is he can click on the Google Maps again and he can actually see the address. So this is my house. I've set them, hopefully they're picking a car up for me. They can also click on the phone icon. And I haven't entered my phone number, but it would ring the address. And they can do that for the other address, Paynton. So this is on the coast in England. Here he is. Let's get back into the first address. If I click on the top vehicle here, it actually goes into the vehicle. So you can actually, these are test vehicles, but you can come in and see the vehicle. And it will have vehicle details and the proper model. One of the other things you can do on this collection, if he gets there and there are more cars, he can actually add a car to this collection. So he clicks on here. He can type in a chassis, a reg, or he can actually capture the barcode on a car and save that. And it's now saying, well, actually, you can't save it without a model. So I'll add a model. Audi, if only it was an Aston Martin. And I'll save that. You can also record damage. So we get there and he said that actually this car was damaged. So he comes into this screen here and he says, right, there's an exterior damage. And he gets presented with a splat diagram, as we call that. If he's got the wrong splat, he can change it to a van and back to a car. So if I'm going to put some damage on the bonnet, so I'll click on the bonnet. So I've just tapped on the bonnet. It knows which part I've picked. So now it's got kind of component related damage. So bonnet dented. And I'll take a picture. Again. So my camera showing out. Just now save that. You can now see that there's one line of damage on that bonnet. And if I view and edit damage, you see there's one line and I can click on that. I can edit that damage. I can change it to scratched at the moment. And I can say there's 3 scratches. It's asking me to take a pic, I'll save it. Oh, we want to go take another pic because I've changed it. The bot was getting attention. Again, you can force questions. You can force them to follow certain routes. There we go. It's changed to scratched. I'll come back. So the next thing that they need to do is they need to confirm that they've got these cars. So the way we've done that is they literally touch the car. So I'm just going to touch it with my finger, and that confirms I've loaded that car. Touch the others, and you notice that there is no, they can't progress this at the moment until they touch that last car. And then it says, well, actually, this address is saying you need to sign to collect the cars. So he's going to click on the signature. It shows him the damage. I think he can go and have a look at that damage if he wants to before he signs. And then he enters his name, he clicks on the thing, he draws in the box, and he submits it. As he's changing the height of his truck, when he puts things on, he has to now confirm the height of his truck. So we'll submit that. That's now sent to the back end. And you can see that the actual job's gone shaded in, so that means he's completed that one. If I quickly jump back in here and go into this load. And let's go and get a look somewhere else. Let's confirm that. Where's that? I can't believe it must have been this vehicle. Yeah, so what you will see is that the damage has already come back. So there's the picture, the first picture I took. On it, 3 scratches with the picture on that car. And the other thing we do actually is one of the things that we have to do, as I mentioned before, is produce a POD. So I've captured a signature and damage on that car, but it takes about 20 minutes to go through the document production. So it's a scheduled job. So I actually got an image of a picture of one that we do. So this is an example of, we scrape the details, the data that comes back from the phone. So the vehicle, the make, the address, the damage captured on the phone, the signature. So that's the signature from the phone. And then we can actually put the damage on the document, and we can store that in our electronic document storage system and produce it, and we can send it and email that and print it if we wanted to. I mean, that is that's all of the features. I mean, one of the other things I didn't mention, when we actually deliver a car, one of the things we do is we actually do a lat long check of both where you are and the address you're supposed to be delivering at. And if there's a conflict, we highlight to the driver, so he's either in the wrong place or he's been asked to deliver it somewhere else. But that's it for now. So if I hand you back to Jose, hopefully you followed most of that. Do you want me to stop sharing now, Jose? Or you're muted if you're talking. Stop sharing. Yeah. It's all yours, Jose.
Oh, but you weren't going to continue sharing your slides?
Oh, I'm sorry, I might have probably got one last slide on there. Yeah, you're right. You're on the ball. Right. There is one last one. Let's play that again. Okay, so really, I think the last slide was this one. So, I mean, all of these are appropriate now because a third-party piece of software that 800-900 drivers are using, and the maintenance on that, and just really trying to get changes from them is quite expensive. So we brought all of that back into house. So it's been done by a internal development team from the ages of 22 to 65, some with RPG, some with not, but almost all of them using LANSA. It's a lot easier now because we can put our own security, so they're signing on to our machine. We can manage who doesn't, who can come on and see that. Way lower complexity because we're not actually interfacing with a third party, which can be a headache. And it just is more accurate. The phone itself looks a lot more like our system. We have a lot more control on what the driver can see and how we design that. And so far, as I said before, we've got 4 drivers now piloting it, and everything so far seems to be a success. So it's going very well. Was there one last one? Oh, here we go.
Great, Stuart. We're amazed about your LANSA solution. That was a great presentation. And well, we're going to open up for some Q&A. I think at this moment it would make sense to introduce Peter Hawks to help us answer any question that we think he might be able to address. Peter is the Director of Sales for EMEA here at LANSA. And he will be able to help us and has been helping many customers around EMEA around scoping and delivery custom applications. So to start it up, let's see if you have any questions so far. Okay, I have one question here. And that is, what were the main drivers of creating this kind of application?
The main drivers were that we purchased something from a company, and it was a delivery application, but it was a kind of a universal delivery application. So you could deliver fridges, boxes, you could deliver anything with it. But car transportation is a much more complex, I mean, I can say that, but really one of the big differences, drivers load their own trucks for a start. And when we were approaching the software provider to try and tweak the software to meet our requirements, it was a headache. And there are things that they never got working. So they never got ANPR working, which is number plate recognition. We've already got it working in our app. I can't show you because the server, it's on a test server and it doesn't work on the test server, but we've already got ANPR working. We've got it working very quickly. Even barcode scanning. So I showed you one barcode scanning, but we have some vehicles or some sites where you go in and collect 11 cars, but you don't know what they are. So they just go down the line and they scan the barcode on the car. And we can produce a screen now where they can scan 11 barcodes almost instantly, load the cars and go. So there was lots of reasons that we wanted to make it more efficient. It wasn't particularly very easy to use because it was flexible, but it was a case of linking lots of separate screens together. So we decided that we wanted to design something that really was kind of the flow of the driver's day. I saw a demo at a LANSA event of a offline application that allowed you to inspect underground in railway stations. And it dawned on me that why aren't we doing this ourselves? And I pitched it to our boss and I managed to get him to say yes. So, and we had the team, we didn't need to employ people. We had young developers, we had some older developers, and we had kind of experience to do it. So yeah, I mean, we weren't even sure we could because we've never done an app before. We've got one app out there which UK manufacturers, so the UK dealership, brand new cars, can track where a delivery is. It's almost like a DPD, where's my parcel? So they can see where a truck is, where the driver is, and when they're going to get their car, so they can make room in their showroom. But this is an offline, this is, you load that database, the full database. Everything I did then, listen, every single thing you saw me do, I could do offline. Right? And then when it comes back online, it will send any changes I've made as an interface back to the core system and update it. That's why.
Okay, great. We have another question, and it says, how quickly did your developers adopt and learn LANSA? Was it an easy learning curve?
I would say yes. I mean, we primarily were RPG. So my older ones, my oldest developer is, he's probably about 60 something now. I'm not saying he's the best LANSA developer we got, but my main developer is late 50s. So, but he didn't write the app, funny enough. We changed our employment tact a few years ago, because when you're working in the I series, you don't tend to get a lot of other people applying. So one of the things that we changed was our approach, and I approached young people coming out of university that had web or app development, and I pitched the fact that we could get them in and developing apps a lot quicker with LANSA. They came in and they were a bit dubious to start with, because they thought they'd take all the fun away. But the fact that we're producing things a lot quicker allowed them, to really understand the business, and we allowed them to kind of get involved in the whole development cycle. So I would say we're only talking a number of weeks. We would give them probably in-house training. We would give them a week of in-house training, and then we would set them on their first task. It wouldn't be this app, but it would be something that would, say, be a maintenance stream. And then within the number of months, these guys were off looking at barcode, ANPR, lat long on the phone. And really, that I think taking someone out of university with some of this mobile technology, because that's what they do in these universities now, it was a godsend, really, because some of the problems we faced, they were able to come up with solutions. But I would say, we don't, when we bring on a new LANSA developer, we do not, unfortunately for LANSA, use LANSA as training anymore. We do it ourselves, and we do probably a week of training, and then we just let them loose.
Okay, great. So the next question is part question and part is an observation. The observation first is that this person thinks that it's one of the best demos he has ever seen with LANSA. And the second one...
you, Peter.
No, it wasn't actually.
Okay.
That goes without saying.
And the other one is the backend is also LANSA. It's LANSA Web or BLF1.
Yeah, the backend is LANSA. So so it's actually an I series. I mean, so it's nice. It's a DB4 database, or it's a proper LANSA database. But all of our systems now, really, all of our core systems are written in LANSA. So we've got a 10-year, 12-year-old system that is written in WAMS, and obviously WAMS is still supported, and we haven't got the time to redevelop that yet. But any new streams and these functions are all written in LANSA, and any new streams that are business facing are written in V15 now. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Stu. I thought that was an excellent presentation as well. I did have one question as well. In particular, what do you see the particular challenges of developing an offline app that you actually experienced? I'm sure a lot of people are aware of a lot of the problems about syncing data and when do you delete it. But what would you say the top? Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's a syncing of data. I mean, and one of the things that we found is the hardest thing is that we're in an environment where the back end can change at any point. So an allocator can allocate more work or change all row work, but so can the driver. So to find out which one you do first was the hardest thing for us. We're like, okay, so you've changed his actual work, but he's changed what you've given him. Now you've got to update that, but it's got to fit into something that you've already changed in the back end. We've done a lot. We spent days and days going through the architecture and the run of how that should work. And we actually, one of the things we took was that anything that comes back from the phone, the driver is the driver. So he drives everything. He's doing the actual work. So he's going to tell you what's actually happening. So anything the driver does first gets updated on the back end. We then refresh the back end and say, right, this is what's happened. Let's have a look what it looks like now. And if there's anything major, we will inform the allocators and the business. But if not, then that new picture gets reloaded to the driver's phone. But for us, I mean, we have never done it. I think it's just, yeah, again, it's using two different mobile devices, and we have iPhones and Androids which work differently. It is really just the syncing of that data.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we have another question. How long has it taken to implement these new features in your system during your tenure? I guess you mentioned that, and that's part of me. You mentioned that you were taking this is a new addition to what all the things you have created with LANSA.
Yeah, so this app is fresh. There was nothing to start with, so there was no driver app. It was a completely, we had an app that dealers were using. So it was, my boss said to me, right, we've got to go ahead to write an app. And that was a blank piece of paper. That was right at the start. And I would say that to get something, we started when the first lockdown happened, but we only had 2 developers working. It was me and another guy. So I had to design the whole thing and do the architecture of the whole thing, which we didn't have a team at the time. I would say that within 4 months, we demoed something to the business. And then altogether, we've been working on about 9-10 months, I think. It's been a labor of love. I mean, it's been the most challenging, but very rewarding. I mean, just because we're in an environment that we weren't even used to, in the offline, and it just is a different environment. And we've got a team that we're not in the office, so we're doing everything over Teams, which that's proved to be successful, but it does have its challenges. But yeah, I would say about 9 to 10 months.
Okay.
Okay, great. I think we're running out of time. And well, thank you very much for attending this webinar that is in the customer spotlight on British car auctions. And thank you very much for your good questions. Again, I'd like to thank Stuart for presenting on behalf of our client, BCA. We hope that BCA success story will inspire the audience to explore the possibilities with LANSA. In case you join late, we'll soon be sharing the recording of this video. Stay tuned for more webinars in the Customer Spotlight series. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact LANSA at info@lansa.com. This concludes today's webinar, and thank you again, Stuart, for this amazing presentation.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Stu.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everyone. Bye-bye.